Recording is on.
Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today I'm going to be bringing you the third player interview on the channel, and I'm delighted to be joined by British talent Ryan Peniston. Thanks for joining us, Ryan. How is life in lockdown?
Hi Dan, thanks for having me. Life's it's all right. Now that the clubs have opened, being able to practice again, it's pretty good.
So just kicking things off at the start of your tennis life, what are your sort of first memories of picking up a tennis racket, and did you have any early inspirations in terms of players that you sort of looked up to and aspired to be like in your pro career?
Yeah, my first memories are probably playing in the back garden. Really, I think my dad put a racket in my little hand when I was about 3 years old, and swinging around against a sponge ball against the back ball. So that's probably the first memories. I've had lots of inspirations, really. The older guys like Agassi. I love Marcelo Rios, the way he plays. And then as like Rafa, Roger came in, big inspirations.
Yeah, so you moved to the ISP Tennis Academy in France at sort of an early age. What sort of benefits did you think you got from doing that, and how long did you spend there? Just talk about your time in France a bit, really, because it's quite an interesting, an early move.
So I moved when I was 13, started year 9, to year 9 for about 2 days, and then went off to France. But yeah, it was awesome. I got to train full time at a tennis academy. So it was pretty full on. I wasn't really used to that intensity of the training, but I got used to it pretty fast, and I just loved it, and it just allowed me to improve a lot.
So from then, I think it was 2014, you moved to Memphis in America to sort of study and play your tennis. Why Memphis? Because I read that you had offers from a few different US colleges, and just talk, how did that sort of move come about, and why Memphis in particular?
Yes, I had a lot of messages and kind of offers from different coaches, college coaches, on they'd message on Facebook and things, and I didn't have that much knowledge about it. And then one sort of stood out, Chris Dower from the University of Memphis. He messaged me on Facebook, and we sort of got talking, and we had a couple of Skype sessions, and he just told me a lot about the program at Memphis and what they do and what they aim to achieve. And then I decided to go on a recruiting trip there, and it just loved it. Absolutely loved it.
The facilities and the training and the coaches are brilliant. They're top class in America, and they really look after you as a player, don't they?
Yeah, they look after you a lot. It's kind of a different ball game when you first go over there. It's everything is there. Like everything you need is there. The facilities is just amazing.
So there's a lot of junior players watch these interviews and follow me blog and stuff that have obviously played nationals and regionals, and at 16, 17, when you have to start thinking about your next step in tennis, whether you join an academy abroad or you join a top UK university or go down the route you did in the US scholarship, what sort of advice would you give to players on the verge of making that step, and would you recommend the US route?
100%. Personally, I mean, because I had an amazing experience there, probably a bit biased, but it's such a good move, to be honest. Like there's so many positive things that will come out of it. I mean, you'll be getting your education as well while you're training, but yeah, it allowed me to improve like on and off the court. And I'd say anyone who's thinking about it, I would say go for it.
There seems to be a lot of young British players doing like yourself, and I know Paul Jubb and Victoria Allen's in Florida at the minute, and they've all said just great things about it, really. So it seems like definitely a good step for the UK players. So I've been reading about your time in Memphis, and 1 year already you lost just 2 singles matches in a year and reached the #1 college ranking singles. And how much do you think your game sort of developed in Memphis, and why do you think that was down to?
It's definitely down to the coaches. They had a big part to play. Chris Dower and Paul Goebel, they had a huge part. They saw things in my game that they wanted me to improve on. Just put me to work. And then obviously my teammates, they were a huge part as well. Like we practiced together day in, day out, and we were always pushing each other. So that's a big part of how I felt like I improved.
Yeah, every time I've spoke to a player that's been in US college tennis, they always say that being that sort of team environment and not just playing for yourself, you're also playing for the players, because if you lose a match, you're not just losing for yourself, but also for that team. So it pushes you on even further. Is that something you found as well, that sort of get your competitiveness?
Yeah, completely. The team aspect is awesome. You haven't really, the only thing you experience it in England is probably county cup or county week and stuff, and it's so good. It's such a good feeling when you obviously win for your team and win, but the other way, if you lose, you feel kind of bad.
Yeah, I suppose. But you obviously studied a degree alongside playing your college tennis. Was that sort of hard to juggle them two, like mentally and physically, really? Because I done a degree a few years ago, and I found doing that hard. And I was just doing a degree without a sport on the side, so it must have been pretty difficult to be, practicing tennis probably 4 or 5 times a week and competing, and also doing that degree alongside it.
Yeah, it's just balance. Balance is the huge part of it. You just have to learn to balance your time, whether you're doing schoolwork or seeing friends. You want to have a social life as well. So you just gotta try and get your priorities right.
Just manage your time, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
So you finished your time in Memphis in 2018, I think. Had your first full season as a pro in 2019. You obviously reached the top 400 in the men's rankings. You reached the Wimbledon qualifiers and won 2 ITF titles in Mexico. So how would you sort of reflect on that 2019 now, looking back?
Yeah, when I look back on the year, it was my first full year on the tour, so I'm pretty chuffed about it. I didn't really know what to expect when I was going into it. I'm really happy with how it went. It's a lot of tennis, a lot of tournaments, so it definitely got tough sometimes. But really happy.
Yeah, it's the long seasons now, aren't they? The very long seasons.
Yeah.
So are you a player that sort of sets specific goals and targets to reach? Because I've spoken to lots of different players, and some players like having them certain rankings or tournament titles to hit, to sort of inspire them and motivate them in training. And some players don't like having any targets and just sort of say until they reach the top, they're not happy with where they are. So what are you sort of like in that sense?
I think before, when I started out playing tennis, I would, obviously have some really big goals that I wanted to achieve, like getting to top 100 and stuff like that. But as I started playing more and more as I got older, I feel like more realistic goals, the better ones that when you achieve them, you tick them off. Like it feels pretty good to achieve them. So yeah, I try and go little by little.
Small steps. So you're coached by your dad, Paul, and obviously you're looking to continue to improve, continue to climb the rankings. Are you working on anything specific in training when you can get on the court? Are you sort of working on anything specific part of your game to improve as an all-round player?
Yeah. I'm working a lot of stuff, off the court, in the gym and things like that, getting stronger. But yeah, trying to apply certain things on the court as well. We do certain drills sometimes when I'm not feeling great on a certain shot or a certain pattern, point pattern. Then we definitely go through those.
Yeah. So I managed to find some footage of you playing on YouTube, and just from what I watch, your playing style sort of reminded me of Diego Schwartzman. I know you're a short guy, but you seem to have a very good defence, very quick, like to take the ball on the rise early. Is he a player that you have watched and sort of study almost? Because I think when you look at the sort of next gen coming through, and a lot of players in the top 50 of the men's, a lot of them are so big. When you look at like Zverev and Tsitsipas and Medvedev, and they're all like 6'4", 6'5". So do you analyse the shorter players and see how you can improve your own game?
Yeah, I mean the top guys right now, I think the top 10, like the average height is like 6'4"
Mm.
or something. Crazy, but yeah, I mean they're obviously all going to be big servers, big hitters, but some of the smaller guys, like Nishikori and obviously Schwartzman, you have to use other things, to win points. You have to use your movement or anticipation or things like that. So there's strengths and weaknesses to everyone. So I think it's just a part of figuring them out and using them to your advantage.
Mm. When I was reading an article about you, it was from Mark Gianotto, who I'm guessing watched you in Memphis quite a few times.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
I read a quote that read, "Rather than overpower opponents, Peniston simply wears them down with consistency in an act for playing his best tennis during the biggest points." And it sounds like a certain Novak Djokovic. Do you sort of watch his games and look at how he produces his best tennis in the biggest moments? It's something that he certainly has come accustomed to over the years.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched Djokovic play a ton. I've seen a lot of his matches, and he's definitely someone who uses every shot in the book,
Mm.
and he's just so consistent. He's like a
Mm.
wall, and yeah, he much like the other top guys, he plays his best tennis at the big moments, and I think that's something that everyone tries to work on.
So the big sort of debate, I think, at the minute in men's tennis is when is one of the next gen, sorry, going to break through and win a Grand Slam? You obviously straight away look to the likes of Tsitsipas and Zverev and Medvedev. Medvedev came very close at last year's US Open, but I just thought I would get sort of your opinion on who you think is most likely to win a Grand Slam out of the next gen group, and where you think that's sort of most likely to happen.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think obviously Medvedev, who's got the closest there with the final. I feel like he's probably got the confidence now to maybe get there again, and then maybe go one step further. I mean, he wasn't far off.
Hmm.
But yeah, if I were to put my money on it, I would say Medvedev.
Do you think this break in playing tournaments could sort of change the outlook really? Because since 2018, French Open, Novak and Nadal have shared all 8 Grand Slams, which is quite hard to believe. And it just every Grand Slam you go into, you seem to think Nadal or Djokovic are going to win this. And you think with this break, you think could the next gen sort of turn up at the US Open or Roland Garros if you were to get them times later in the year with sort of renewed confidence and just hope to cause an upset really?
Yeah, I mean, I think they definitely will be thinking that. Those guys for sure are not going to let up. I think anything. But yeah, I think the break will give them a chance to get maybe a different perspective when they're walking into those sort of matches.
Hmm. And the other thing that we all seem to be talking about is who is the ultimate GOAT of tennis and who's going to finish on the most Grand Slams. You've got Roger on 20 and Rafa on 19, Djokovic on 17. And I always say to myself that I think the pivotal moment in this title race was last year's Wimbledon final. When you look at Roger had them 2 championship points in serve, and he would have went 6 clear of Novak if he'd taken one of them. Obviously, Djokovic came back and won that match, cut it to 4, and won this year's Australian Open to cut it to 3. So it's incredibly close now. But I just sort of wonder what your take on when it was and who you think will finish with the most slams at the end.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I know that Federer. I was watching that match live, and I couldn't really believe it. But he said he wasn't too disappointed about it. I think he said that there's been match points and stuff in other Grand Slam finals when he's been able to win them and turn around a match and things like that. So it goes both ways. But no, if I were to put my money on it again, I would say Djokovic, just because he's such a big threat on every surface, and just I think when he reaches that level, like that confidence that he gets, sometimes he gets on a roll. I think he will overtake both of them.
Good shout. So moving on to the WTA now. There's obviously a lot of young players coming through when you look at the recent Grand Slam champions in the likes of Osaka and Sofia Kenin and Andreescu. And who do you think of all the players there that could? It's very difficult to say because every tournament's so wide open and they've all sort of only won one or two each. But is there any player that you particularly enjoying on the WTA watching and you think could win multiple Grand Slams in the future?
I think they all have, that potential. I mean, obviously, like Andreescu and Kenin, they've shown what they can do to everyone. I do enjoy watching Kenin because she's so, fearless and
mentally strong.
Yeah. So I do enjoy that. But I think it's tough. Some players will just they'll win a couple Grand Slams and some will win obviously more than 10, and you can't really put your finger on it what the difference is between them. But yeah, I guess that's a path that they'll go down or they won't, but it's definitely up to them.
Yeah, I think it's more mentally as well how they cope with the pressure. I think because Osaka came through in 2018 and won back-to-back slams, and she got to world number one. And everybody thought, this is the next Serena Williams coming on the scene, to win 20 or 25 Grand Slams. And she sort of struggled with the pressure and the fame, I feel, since that time. She's down to world number 10 now, and she hasn't won another Grand Slam or featured in the final since. And although she is very young, I just think it is a lot of pressure on young shoulders, isn't it, really?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that must have been a tidal wave of new things to her, when that happened. So, and she seems like a pretty shy girl. So it must have, used to the fame and all that. So yeah, that definitely helps for them.
One player we haven't talked about there is Coco Gauff, and I mean, it's 15. It was a 15-year-old. She reached the fourth round of Wimbledon, then the quarterfinal of the US at 16, I think it was. And again, I think it's important that the media and the fans don't sort of put too much pressure on it to succeed too early. But bringing it back to yourself, if you're going into a must-win match, or you were at Memphis, or you're going into a final of an ITF event, does your sort of mentality change, or do you have certain rituals and just believe in yourself to do the job, really?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you face pressures in every match, really. It's all different, but when it comes to those finals or those big matches, I think it's up to you to decide how much pressure you put on yourself. So it's always completely up to you. You can either put tons of pressure and affect your play negatively, or you can try and relax and just try and play your game.
So what would you say was your best moment of your career so far, and also what is your dream achievement? If there was one thing you could do in tennis in your pro career, what would that be?
So far, I really enjoyed when in college in Memphis when we made me and Andrew Watson we became All-Americans. And that was the first time that the Memphis program ever had All-Americans in tennis. So that's the highlight for me. That was amazing feeling. But for the future, I would in my dream achievement, I'd want to play main draw Wimbledon.
All right.
Yeah, that would be something that would be awesome.
So what are you I know it's very difficult to say because we don't know when tennis is fully going to resume tournaments-wise, but what are your sort of plans for the rest of the year? You're just basically waiting for the return, and you're planning to play tournaments at the back end of the year if we do get the chance?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know that the WTA just came out with the plan to, play, I think, four tournaments start of July. I think the details are going to follow for them, but right now, I'm just training, just practicing. It's all all players can do really is just practice and keep working hard until whenever the tournaments come back, just to be ready.
Yeah, well, perfect. Thanks a lot for your time, Ryan. Best of luck with your career and the rest of the year. Stay safe, and yeah, thanks for joining me.
No problem. Thanks for having me, Dan.